work here.
Yes, I really work here. You think I wear this denim on denim for fun? This is not a good look for me. You know? The pink on pink would be a better look for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have to wear the blue.
Why? Because it's your favorite color?
No, because it's my uniform. Because I work here.
Because everybody else wears.
It's what my team has to wear. I know.
Your team has to wear blue and the other team has to wear red?
No, they wear blue too. They make all of us wear blue. Ah, don't laugh at my uniform. It's called the Canadian tuxedo. Have you heard of it? So when you wear jean and jean. The Canadian tuxedo. I lost her. That was it. Damn, this light is bright.
You're live.
We're live. Are you excited to be here?
Yes.
Yes, me too. I'm super excited.
That hot chocolate.
It's a surprise.
I can't guess what it is.
It's not a hot chocolate though. You'll have to wait to taste it. And then you tell me what you taste.
Maybe it's coffee?
No coffee.
You have to talk into the microphone so they can hear you.
You gotta be at least this tall to drink coffee. I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can wait a few years.
You ready?
Okay.
Thank you so much for tuning in to
Mommy and me, the listers.
We are so excited. So today we are live in Chicago in the largest Starbucks roastery in the world. Are you excited?
Yes.
And who do we have? Who's our special guest?
Miss Wolf.
Miss Wolf, our roaster. So she is going to take us through an entire experience, and we're going to do it with you. Y'all ready? Thank
Yes.
you. You ready?
Yes.
So she won't be having coffee because it seems like she's had some already. But she's going to have her own experience too. So today we're showcasing the STEM of Starbucks. So if you are tuning in for the first time, thank you so much. And if you have not checked with Mommy and Me, the listers, we are a STEM outreach organization. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we are so excited to be here showcasing the STEM of Starbucks. So we have a live tasting, but we also want to share that this is a Willy Wonka inspired experience. From everything from all the floors have something that's Wonka inspired. The tubes, Wolf can make it rain.
I can make it rain, and we'll see that later.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're going to see her making it rain. But later we also have a film. Right? We're producing a film that's going to come out, and we're going to show you some of the behind the scenes, some very VIP experience things where you can't get it anywhere else. It's only in Chicago, right?
Only in Chicago. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's only at the Chicago store Starbucks.
Right. You're ready.
Yes.
Okay. So, Wolf. So tell me about, we were talking a little bit about how you started with this love of coffee. So tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I am Mexican American, so growing up, it was tradition to go visit my grandma after dinner, and every now and then as a little girl, she'd be like, you want to try my coffee? And I'd be like, okay, sure. And so it started at about 12, 13 years old. I started drinking coffee with my grandma, and so it's something I hold very dear to my heart. And it's a wonderful tradition that I like to continue. I don't suggest feeding your kids coffee. I don't suggest that at all.
So no coffee, okay?
No coffee for you. But it is something that can bring people together and really just have a great conversation over a cup of coffee.
Right. So I think that's exactly what we're doing today.
Yeah. So today we're going to be trying our Chicago Micro Blend. It is exclusive to just our roastery. A little fun fact about this Chicago Blend, it launched about 2 years ago, and it all started with a simple conversation of what does Chicago mean to you? And so they pulled our baristas, our managers into a room, and they were like, talk to me. What is Chicago? What are our people? How would we put that into a coffee? And so a year later, we came up with the Chicago Micro Blend, and we'll go through all the process of tasting it together to really see what highlights it right there.
So you can't get this anywhere else?
No, you have to come to the Chicago Roastery in order to try the Chicago Micro Blend. It is exclusive to just us.
Super exclusive. We like that, huh?
Yeah.
We love that.
Okay, so this is not a traditional coffee pot. This is...
No. So this is called a chemex. It's one of the oldest brewing methods that we have. And it is not like a Mr. Coffee Maker, but it kind of is. And I'll explain those things in just a second. And so you have your vessel here, a funnel. You have a paper filter for our coffee grounds, right? And then we have our ground coffee in here. It's a little coarse, not too fine. And our hot water right here. And so to start, I didn't show this, but you wet your filter. So one of the important things about wetting the filter is to make sure that you get rid of any paper taste or any paper residue. We don't want to mix this to our delicious coffee. We want the cleanest ingredients. And so 4 of the things that you look out for when brewing coffee: freshness of your coffee. So we suggest grind right before you brew it. How clean your water is will also affect your coffee. So if you brew coffee with faucet water compared to purified water, you will taste the difference. There are different minerals in each one. We got the grind size. So for chemex, it's going to be a little coarse, not too fine. And if you don't know the grind size of your coffee, you can ask any barista and we'll help you out for sure. And so to start, we had wet our paper filter. And now my little helper is going to go ahead and pour coffee into the thing. Please and thank you.
So she is pouring the coffee into the filter. And if you know the little scientists, they're all over it. They've been excited from the start to the finish.
All right, perfect. We're gonna tear that. I also do have a scale, so I will be measuring out my water. For anyone curious, the ratio is 16 to 1. So 16 grams of coffee to 1 gram of water. And we're gonna give it a little shake. You wanna give it a little shake for me?
Yeah.
You're gonna shake it so that it flattens out. So we wanna start with a flat bed.
What's the significance of the flatbed?
Yeah, so when I pour, you notice I'm gonna pour in small circles, starting in the middle and working my way out.
Yeah, I think it's off.
We want to have a flat bed. Thank you, that's perfect. So that when we pour the water, we're submerging all the coffee grounds and the water together at the same time. So you want to introduce your coffee to your water and you want them to be friends and they gotta mingle along for a little bit.
I like that. They're gonna be friends.
They're gonna be friends, yeah. So we're gonna introduce them right now. So this is gonna be our first pour. And we're gonna start in the middle and then work our way out.
That's some fancy wrist action. I don't know if you can see it, but if you can pinch, that's some fancy wrist action.
And
okay,
so,
we see something happening here.
Yeah, so you guys see those little bubbles that are coming out?
Can we show the camera?
Yeah, I don't know if the camera can see. So we have little bubbles that are coming out of our brewing method right now. And that's really normal. That's carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide that is escaping from the ground coffee. And so we want to see that. That's normal. If you see like really big bubbles, your coffee's too fresh. You did not let it rest for 7 days. And that's going to change dramatically the taste.
So you grind and then let it rest?
Yeah, so you can either grind and let it rest, or you can let it rest for 7 days and then grind it. And that's called the degassing process.
Okay. So people asked, what in the world are you going to be doing in Starbucks in Chicago? And I'm like, it's so much more than just a cup of coffee. Things like this, you have to let it rest. It's degassing. I know. She appeared, huh? It's degassing the carbon dioxide. You said the carbon dioxide bubbles are escaping?
Yes, so we got gases that are escaping the coffee.
Y'all see the wrist action? Did y'all see it?
And so this is my second pour. And when I pour, I like to keep just consistently pouring in small circles to ensure that we're not over pouring on one side or the other side. Because what will happen is you can over extract your coffee on one side and under extract it on the other side, and now you don't have a balanced coffee.
Okay. And so that's why it had to be flat.
Yes, exactly.
You got that? You taking notes?
You writing down? There's a pop quiz after this.
We're going to ask you questions. You have to pass. Are you going to be ready?
No.
No.
Everybody who has been watching us for a while totally expects that from Kinsley for her to say, no, I'm not going to be ready. Okay, so then it's getting down there.
Yeah, so it's pouring down. And so one of my favorite things about the chemex is say that you don't have a fancy scale like I do. That's okay. We don't need a fancy scale. The chemex itself is designed so that you don't have to use a scale. You know when you're done pouring water, when you've reached the belly button. So that's right above the vessel here. And that's a great tell that you don't need no more water, no more less water. And so even if I didn't have the scale, I would still be able to get the right amount of ratio water.
Because I was going to ask, because that was very specific. You said 16 grams
to 1 gram of water.
Yeah. I'm like, how would I do that if I were at home and didn't have the fancy chemex or tools?
For anyone curious, it's 45 grams of coffee to 720 grams of water. That's the ratio for the chemex. You can look that up online. You don't have to memorize that. You guys will be okay. You don't have to memorize that either. I know we're not concerned, but...
You're going to memorize that later?
Yes.
Yes,
She's
you
like,
are. What about you?
No.
No. Yep. See?
He always likes to say no.
Yeah, it's called balance, you know?
Yes.
You got to have both sides right there.
Yes. Okay, so while this is brewing, so tell us just a snippet about the magic of this location in particular. So this is not the only roastery, it's the largest roastery.
Yes.
But this one has a special little flair.
So we are the world's largest Starbucks. And when I say the world, I literally mean the world. We are a 5-story reserve roastery that serves reserve coffee. And we also have a beautiful Willy Wonka aspect to our entire building. Everything is very whimsical, magical, and also functional, which is one of the most important things for us, is that we want to make sure everything's functional while making it fun. So that's how we're going to make it rain later, and we'll go back to that later.
So you have to stay tuned to watch us make it rain, okay?
So make it rain beans.
Make it rain beans, yeah.
Make it rain beans. We caught a snippet of it earlier when we were just so lucky. We were eating some of the amazing pastries. And so, look at the process. You see how she gets it?
You see how like the brown color is even all around? Yeah, that tells me that I've been pouring water evenly throughout the entire bed. So we want to see that. Yeah, we're almost done. We're about halfway.
The coffee is halfway away from it, though.
Almost being full?
Yes.
Yes. Are you excited?
Yes.
So they don't have coffee. They have something special. It's not hot chocolate. It's something special. And so tell us the steps of tasting coffee. So take notes because this is what you're going to do when you drink your coffee, okay?
Okay, so there are 4 main steps into tasting coffee. We got smell, slurp, taste, describe. You got
so
that?
what's the first one?
Slurp.
Smell. What's next?
Slurp.
Mm-hmm.
Taste.
Uh-huh.
And subscribe.
Subscribe.
Subscribe and also describe.
Describe, subscribe, you know.
Yeah, you got it. Good job. And so we want to smell the coffee to see what we smell. Is it fruity? Is it chocolatey? Does it smell like flowers? You know, I know it can taste like flowers too. It's really crazy. And so afterwards, you're gonna slurp, and the point of the slurp is to spray the coffee all through your tongue. And what that's gonna do is help us pinpoint where the acidity falls on your tongue. So you'll feel it on the sides, in the back, or in the tip of your tongue. And that's typically how we describe like an acidity of a coffee.
So there's 3 places. You remember which 3?
Mm-hmm.
What were they? The side?
The sides, the back,
Or the...
tip of your tongue.
Okay, I hope y'all are taking notes too, because Krissy has it handled, okay?
Yeah, and so after we slurp it, we just describe what are we tasting. And it could be a flavor note, it could be a feeling, it could be an emotion. And that's the beautiful thing about coffee tastings, is that if you don't have a word to describe what you're tasting, but it feels like you're walking down Michigan Avenue and it's snowing on you, that's beautiful. That is coffee tasting within itself.
Could you believe that coffee can make you feel that way?
Yes.
What's your favorite setting? Your favorite thing to do? Where do you imagine yourself?
I really like hot chocolate, so hot chocolate.
Krissy is not letting go of the hot chocolate, okay?
This is some real good hot chocolate I made her, because we keep talking about this hot chocolate nonstop.
She had her first Starbucks hot chocolate yesterday, and it is on her mind, okay?
And then another fun thing about the chemex is while it makes hot coffee, it also makes iced coffee. So you get the best of both worlds. And that's really simple. You take the 720 grams of water that you would use normally, and you cut that in half. So half will be water and half will be ice. Okay. So you throw 360 grams of ice here, and you're gonna do 360 grams of water up top. And now you have iced coffee. And it's the exact same way.
I love that because not a lot of people know that there's so much math, there's so much science involved. I love that. So the stem of Starbucks. I'm going to keep saying it because I'm going to make you all understand and remember that this is so much bigger than just a cup of coffee. There are people behind the scenes calculating all the math that you need to make that perfect cup.
It is ready. Now look at that bed. You see how nice and flat it is on the bottom and the sides? Yeah, that's perfect. You did such a good job shaking it. Thank you.
Let me see it again. I want to see it one more time.
And so this is how I know that I distribute the water evenly because everything is flat and consistent on the sides and on the bottom.
Okay.
And so that
Super cool.
I'm very excited for this. So we're gonna go ahead and take our filter out. We give a little swirl, put it in our cup so we don't
even
make
the
a mess.
filter has an experience. The swirl and everything.
And last but not least for my chemexes, I like to give it just a little swirl to make sure we intermingle the top and the bottom of our brewed coffee. Yeah.
You like that?
Yes.
You like the swirl?
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and do our little pour.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, helper. So be careful, it is gonna be hot.
It's
and remember,
hot.
you're not drinking these, only mommy and me, okay?
Krissy
You guys have your
is
own
trying
version.
to get her cup,
Thank
okay?
you. That's your version, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Come on, Kinsley. You're gonna get yours too.
Okay, so everyone wants to take their cup. You want to pass
Okay.
one out? Here you go, my little friend. Okay. And our first steps, and you
Okay.
guys have lids,
First
so it
steps.
might be a little hard if you want to take the lid off. I don't know.
You wanna take the lid off?
To smell
Okay,
it.
let's do the
Yeah.
whole experience.
Okay, be careful.
Keep it on.
Okay.
Maybe it's whipped cream.
Maybe it's whipped cream. I don't know.
Krissy is the detective. She is trying to figure it out, okay?
All
okay,
right.
pass it out. You wanna see it too?
What does it smell like? Like
Okay.
whipped cream?
So the first is the smell.
It looks like corn.
It looks like corn?
Yes.
Oh, like elote. The
Oh, okay,
the
yeah.
outside. Turn this way.
That doesn't smell like corn.
It doesn't smell like
It
corn?
doesn't smell.
Okay.
What does it smell like?
What does it smell like?
Corn.
Corn. Okay.
we got corn.
She's hungry.
And I will say, there is no right or wrong answer when doing coffee
Okay.
tasting. So just because I don't smell corn doesn't mean that there isn't corn in it, you know? So it's okay to have different opinions when we do coffee tasting.
So it's like
We encourage
abstract,
it.
like art.
Yes.
So talking about the stem of Starbucks is really the steam, pun intended, of Starbucks. Because I like how it's open to interpretation as well. That's really cool
Exactly. So we're going to take our smells. Oh, I'm sorry, you have a question?
too. You have a question?
So,
What does it smell like to you?
It smells like whipped cream to me, but when I drink it, it tastes like corn.
Oh, everybody's on corn today. Okay.
Is it because we're in Chicago in the Midwest?
I don't know. Okay, so let me see what it smells like.
Okay.
Oh, I'm trying to follow the.
So little pro
what did she do?
tip, if you like, you can always take your second hand and you cup it over your cup and then you take a nice big inhale. And now we just kind of describe what we're smelling. To me, unless you want to go
yes.
first,
Let me
you're
go first.
skipping
I
stuff.
want you to smell it too. Look, smell it.
It smells like coffee.
It smells like coffee. Okay.
Yes,
That's because it is
Look at the
coffee.
camera.
it is coffee.
Oh, let me zoom it. To me, it smells. I don't know. I'm torn between like woodsy.
That's okay.
Oh, it's a spill. It's
It's a
okay.
spill. That happens
Do you
all
have
the
some
time
left?
here, so
Oh,
don't worry.
there you go. I'm smelling the microphone. Okay. I'm torn between woodsy and
Okay.
nutty.
Yeah, that's actually
Is that what
exactly
you
what I
get?
smell too. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little woodsy. It's a little nutty. It's somewhere in that like spicy, nutty realm for sure.
Okay. Okay. Spicy, nutty. Okay.
Yes. And so. And then the next step is going to be to slurp. And so I know it sounds rude to slurp out loud, but we actually encourage it here. So if there's ever a time to be loud and proud of your slurps, this is it right here.
Well, Kinsley just slurped
And,
hers without direction, so I think she's ready. How does it taste?
Good.
Period. Good.
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 We'd love to hear it. And so I'll go ahead and do my first slurp. Okay, so nice, big, strong slurp. Be careful not to choke.
Okay.
And so you sprays over your tongue. And now we try to locate. Back, sides, center, tip of the tongue. And everyone's palate's different. So just because I feel it on the sides does not mean Crystal's gonna feel it on the sides.
I feel it in the back.
In the back? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel it on the sides very much. But what is the indication? What's the difference? It's just an experience? Is it individual?
So, it's kind of just to like see where the acidity falls on your tongue as far as coffee goes. You would just want to be very mindful when you're doing these coffee tastings. And so like, you know, when you have something sour and you feel it like right here. And so usually coffees that are higher in acidity, you're gonna feel it like right here. It's gonna feel very like puckery, if you will.
I felt like it was some acidity to it though.
Yeah.
Did you get that too?
Yeah, there is some acidity in this cup.
I came in a newbie and now I'm a professional, okay? Okay.
And so the last thing that's left to do is to taste and describe. So we're gonna take one more sip and describe what we're tasting.
Okay, everybody sip.
Everyone take a sip together.
You've been sipping, but...
And now we try to describe what we taste.
What'd you taste?
I kind of taste corn, but
Anything else besides corn?
Is it sweet or sour?
it's not sour, so. But I can really feel it on the tip of my tongue, though.
On the tip of your tongue?
Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
And the whipped cream kind of tastes like ice cream.
Yeah.
And so I think I can guess what it is.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
I don't know what it is. Miss
It's okay.
Wolf, can you please give me a little hint?
A little hint? Of course. Okay, so does it maybe taste like vanilla?
Yeah.
Do you taste vanilla? Yeah.
Vanilla ice cream. So maybe it's a vanilla drink?
It is a vanilla drink. Very good. Yeah.
Good job.
So it's called a vanilla steamer. It's the steamed milk with vanilla. And then we top it off with a little bit of whipped cream to keep it fun. And so I'm glad you brought up the whipped cream because certain coffees, depending on what you brew it on, will have a different coating feel to your tongue. So you'll find that darker roast, Italian roast, Sumatra, those are coffees that are gonna coat your tongue completely and kind of linger, while you have the lighter coffees that are kind of gonna wash over if you use like a chemex or something like that. So the paper filter will collect all the oils from the coffee, giving you a very clean cup. And so it shouldn't linger in your mouth too much. If we were to brew this on a French press, you would definitely get much more of a coated feel.
Okay, so like the scientist I am, I think it's so interesting that some of the variables are how you brew it,
Yes.
where it's from, like the geography, how long it's roasted even.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about kind of the progression from, I always like, you remember what's the first coffee bean called? What color is it?
The green bean.
The what?
The green bean.
So when you hear green beans, you don't think coffee or Starbucks, right?
You know, yeah.
What do you think about?
Yeah.
Green beans. What do you think about?
Vegetable.
Vegetables
I
in your
agree.
coffee? So can you tell us a little bit about the green bean and how did we even get a green bean and how does that go to our cup?
Yes. So, if you don't know, before coffee is coffee bean, it's actually a coffee cherry. It's gonna be about this big. It's gonna look just like a cherry. Yep, that big, exactly. And so, coffee grows on trees, little shrubs, no taller than myself, so about 5'5" and below. Gave myself a couple extra inches. That's okay. The reserve line handpicks all their coffee cherries to ensure that they're all ripe. Afterwards, we process the coffee bean to get it out of the coffee cherry, and there are 2 green beans for every 1 coffee cherry. And so, do you want to take a guess at how many coffee cherries do I need to make 1 cup of coffee? Take a guess. Give me a number.
100 maybe?
Okay.
How many do you think?
How many do we think over here?
What number?
5 million.
5 million.
Okay.
So to pick them off the tree, so they need to be red and this big.
Yeah, do you want them like a deep, dark red? And then
Yes.
that tells you that it's good to get plucked off the tree.
Yeah.
And it takes 50 coffee cherries to make 1 cup of coffee. So I need 50 little cherries to make 1 cup of coffee.
So
How many?
50.
50.
Yeah.
50. So you think one cherry has 2 beans. So that means they need 25 cherries.
So before the cherries, the flowers?
Yeah, you remember. That's so good. So before you can even grow the coffee cherries, a flower will bloom from the coffee tree. And then once the flower falls, that's when the fruit starts growing. Good job.
So the flower, and then the fruit is what color? What color is the fruit first?
Green. Then it turns to dark red.
And that's how you know it's
Right.
awesome.
And ready to pluck off the tree.
Yes, good
She's on
job.
it. She remembers her Starbucks history.
Well, you got a little coffee roaster in the making right
Are
here.
you gonna be a roaster?
Yes.
You like
Yeah,
it? Okay.
awesome. I love that.
So I have a question. So
Yeah.
I felt it in a different place,
Mhm.
and you felt it somewhere else. So your palate obviously is more advanced than mine regarding coffee. So how did you feel? What's the difference in feeling for you? So when you first started and you would drink something like similar,
Yes.
how has your palate advanced over time?
Yeah, so at first, coffee just kind of tasted like coffee, right? There were no nuances that I could pick out single-handedly. It took a couple of years, and I was very much a milk and sugar in my coffee when I first started. And as we progressed in the journey, we kind of backed off a little bit to really get to know the coffee itself. So I call it an aha moment. The first time I ever had a coffee that actually tasted like something else besides coffee, that was my aha moment. And so that coffee was Jamaica Blue Mountain. And so it's a coffee that grows at a very high mountain for a very short amount of time. And that coffee is very, not only like chocolatey, but it's also like lemony. So it was like drinking chocolate covered lemon candy, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And so it took me to that place of eating like a dark chocolate that has some lemon in it. And it was delicious. And I was like, I can actually taste something. It's not just coffee, there's chocolate, there's lemon, but they're mingling in such a beautiful way that it's just completing the whole experience for me. So it takes some practice.
It takes practice,
It takes
and that's
practice.
where we're starting today.
And a lot of drinking coffee, you know?
And see, I have friends who are coffee drinkers, and they are connoisseurs, so they'll be able to tell you the undertones and the notes and all that. I'm not expertly there yet. However, I got the nutty aroma, and so I can feel almost like it had a thickness to it.
Yes, and that's that mouth coating feel.
Okay.
And so the way we teach that is to think about the differences between drinking whole milk, 2%, and non-fat, and the way it coats your mouth. And so whole milk is going to be a little on the fattier side, so that's going to cover your tongue, completely coat your mouth, while non-fat milk is just kind of like rinse right off your tongue.
Okay.
And so certain coffees will have a thicker mouth coat, and other coffees will just be clean and easy to drink.
Okay.
And it's all preference. There's no right or wrong way to describe a mouthfeel.
It's very specific.
Yes. Oh, we love
Super cool. It's very specific. I think part of it too, it's such an art to it. There's such a differentiation, and it's really, you can have it your way.
Yeah,
like
100%.
However if you like it roasted more or sweeter, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I thought was cool, tell us about the first pop and the second pop.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that?
Yes. So as you roast coffee, we call it first pop, second pop, but we're going to start off with a green bean. And so the first couple of minutes, we'll lose a lot of the moisture in the coffee. So we want to dry out the coffee before we can even start actually roasting it. So it'll dry out. After that, we get to a phase called cinnamon. This is when the Maillard reaction happens. And so we have
the what reaction?
The Maillard reaction.
Okay.
And so that's where we have the sugars that are starting to kind of come up in the coffee. They're starting to develop along with the brownness of coffee, that color that you know. And so you'll see the Maillard reaction when you cook steak. You know, when you brown it on one side and brown it on the other side, that's that same reaction.
Okay.
And so after that, you get to first pop. And so at this point, coffee becomes exothermic. And that just means that it's absorbed so much heat that it has nothing left to do but to burst open.
Yes.
And you can actually hear it. It sounds like cereal popping and sizzling. So you'll hear the coffee pop. And whether you go to second pop or not just depends on how dark you want to roast your coffee. So if you want to go to second pop, that means that you like a really bold, dark coffee that probably tastes like tobacco to a lot of people, you know?
And we tried one and I was like, this tastes like how cigars would smell.
Yes.
So that's when it passed the second pop.
Yes, that's probably coffee that's roasted to about second pop. Yes.
Okay.
Here at the Roastery, we don't roast to second pop. A lot of what we do is medium to light.
Okay.
But I am a big fan of those darker, bolder
Are you?
coffees.
You like the tobacco?
Love it.
So tell us if you like the dark roast, the kind that almost tastes like you're chewing a cigar. Or that thick feel or smell. You like that?
I do.
Okay.
Yes. It could be because I used to be a smoker, so it's very reminiscent of like my past life. But there's something very homey to me. It kind of feels like a warm hug, especially in the winter. I really like the way it coats my mouth. I really like that it's dark, it's bold, and like, I don't know, it just tastes good to me.
It tastes good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's very interesting. But now let's switch to some Q&A. We have some people on live that have joined us. So let's see. I'm going to take some really good questions here. So make sure to put the questions in the chat. This is a very VIP experience for us. Nakia. Okay, she said, which coffee bean is the strongest?
Yeah.
I know.
You know, what do you think?
The shell.
You think the shell is the strongest?
Yes.
In terms of like, because it has everything inside?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So let's ask Miss Wolf, which one is the strongest in flavor? I think that's what Nakia meant.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on what you mean by strongest, but I'm assuming you mean like the more bolder type, darker type coffees. And so I would say typically coffees that I find from Sumatra or Indonesian area are going to be spicy and bold and very like dark, kind of very close to that tobacco taste. And so I would consider those coffees a little on the stronger side. And those are the coffees that we typically roast to a darker level as well, because we want to highlight all those spices, that dark chocolate richness of it. And usually it'll taste like dark chocolate.
Okay. Dark chocolate.
Yes.
Which has a very acquired taste as well.
Yes.
I wonder, are there any other dark coffee drinkers out there? That's really interesting. Okay, so we have the darker, we have the lighter. So what is the lightest coffee?
So the lightest I typically find they're going to come from Costa Rica, Guatemala, from more of that side of the region. And so we have what we call the coffee equator, which is very similar.
The coffee equator.
Which runs along the same line as the equator. And so anything that's grown in those areas are going to be the best type quality coffees, because those areas give us the best environment to grow in.
So we have Sumatra with the dark, and then we have
Costa Rica, Guatemala with more of like the blonde roast, more citrusy, more floral, those types of coffee.
Like the
notes.
lemony,
The
orange.
lemony, yes, the orangey ones.
And so when I think of coffee, I don't think I immediately think about lemon or citrus.
Yeah.
Or even, I feel like I can think of chocolate a little bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe not citrus fruit. What do you think? What kind of coffee would you like? What kind of citrus would you like?
So I would definitely go with the chocolate, so hot chocolate.
Krissy is not giving up on the hot chocolate, okay? It is hot chocolate is the
hot
answer
chocolate season.
for everything. So we had hot chocolate yesterday. Was it really amazing?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
What was your favorite part?
I really like to drink hot chocolate, so definitely hot chocolate.
Period. Hot chocolate. Okay, can we take more questions?
Yes.
You can just give me here. I can read. Okay, so we have a lot. Like, there's a lot of people on here.
Ah.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, everyone.
It's 53,000 people, 5,300 people on here. Well, hello. Welcome to Mommy. Some said I want to learn to make my own. Oh, like to grind it yourself. Okay, I like that. Someone said, wow, I didn't know all that went into making coffee.
Yeah.
from the cherry to how many of you? I want to know. Put a heart in the chat if you really did know that coffee grown trees. Because that's something that we learned from working with you and talking to you, that coffee grew on trees. And we learned about the flower and all that afterward.
Yeah, so I think coffee is a very hot commodity here in America. And so if we could take a second to slow down and really appreciate where it came from, how it was grown, how we process it, the people that picked it, the farmers that grew it, it gives you a whole new interpretation of what coffee is and a whole new appreciation for this cup of coffee you're drinking every morning.
The background makes it so much better. Like the farmers, and you talked about Costa Rica, and you've been there.
Yeah, so I got to go in January of this year. I won like a lottery, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever got to do. I had never seen a real life coffee cherry until we landed in Costa Rica, and they had them everywhere, thousands of them. So of course I had to eat one because you got to feel the experience. Although they do warn you, don't eat more than like 8 or 10. Because,
why? What happens?
Well, it's a foreign fruit. And so you might have some stomach issues if you're not accustomed to it.
Would you eat a coffee cherry right off the tree?
No.
You wouldn't eat it?
What if I ate it? Would you eat it then?
Would you eat it with Miss Wolf?
Yes.
Okay.
She's like,
Yes.
if you do it, then I'll do
Yes,
it.
I agree.
And then I'll do it. And then we'll have the experience. So do we need to go to Costa Rica?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we all need to go to Costa Rica together.
I think Mommy and Me from Costa Rica sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and you can actually go and tour our farm. And they have like little classes, so they'll teach you kind of from seedling to plant. And they have their own roaster on site. And so it's a whole experience for sure.
So from seedling to plant. So you can grow it yourself. Or wait, they thrive in the equator. So tell us a little bit about, you mentioned it, but I kind of, in the excitement of all the things. So the coffee equator literally follows the equator.
Yes. And so that is optimal weather for growing coffee. So a lot of the reserve line coffees all of the reserve line coffees are Arabica coffees, which just means a higher quality coffee cherry. And so what happens is at the equator, these coffees are grown at a very high altitude. And so they get the cold front from the water coming in on one side. They get the warm front from the city or the town coming in on the other side. And so in the mornings, it's nice and hot and toasty. And at night, it's nice and cool. And that's optimal weather for coffee to grow in.
Okay, so we talked about STEM. We talked about STEM. We talked about art, right? Because right now, Starbucks is touching all of the things. And now we're talking about weather and how cool that is. So the weather is important as well.
Yes.
Warm fronts, cold fronts, and that all influences the cup.
Yeah, so you have your coffee cherries, and they typically grow under big leaves. And so the leaves are important because it provides enough shade for them to not over ripen. And so it'll slow down their growing process, but then we get kind of some of the best coffee from that slow growth. If we didn't have the leaves, what would happen is your coffee cherry would over ripen, and once it's over ripened, it's very hard to do anything with it because it becomes kind of like a solid rock.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Someone says, what's the best fall drink to keep you warm?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
How many of you knew Krissy was gonna say hot chocolate?
I know that, pumpkin spice season is always very big for us. So a pumpkin spice latte would be a really great option. If you're ever in the Chicago Roastery, I suggest trying something called the hazelnut bianco latte. So it is a milk that we make in-house with hazelnut paste, real hazelnut paste. It's delicious, it's sweet.
Hazelnut paste, okay.
It's very similar to like a white chocolate. So if you like a white chocolate, I can almost guarantee you're gonna love a hazelnut bianco latte.
Okay, so hazelnut bianco latte. Hopefully y'all are taking notes. Someone said they thought coffee grew on vines, like grapes. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's just trees or little shrubs. And the reason we keep them a little on the shorter side is so that when we go in and have our coffee pickers, they can easily reach it. And we're not putting them in any danger. We're not putting them on a rope, making them climb a ladder. And it's just something that they can grab and throw in their basket as they go.
Okay, I love that. I love that they're not having to climb for the coffee coffee cherry picker to get
Yeah.
it. So it's something that they can do really efficiently.
Exactly.
Okay. So someone said, how do I make the perfect espresso shot?
The perfect
Is there a science behind espresso?
shot. Oh man, there is, and we can get into it. I wish I had an espresso machine
Oh.
because then we could do the whole tutorial and show you how to go through it. Some of the main key things about making espresso is, once again, the freshness of your coffee. So if you have like an older coffee, you're not going to get the best espresso. And you want to make sure there is a ratio that goes into when you make espresso. So you want 18 grams of ground coffee, espresso ground, and that's going to give you 16 ounces of espresso. And so that's kind of the ratio that you want to follow. You can always tweak it to your liking. If you look online, you can find that ratio. You don't have to memorize it. It's okay. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out at you.
You can always Google it. Take notes.
Yes. But you want to make sure that your water's fresh, your coffee's fresh, and you're making your shots as you need them and not ahead of time. Because if you let a shot sit, it'll get a little stale. It'll lose its
It'll lose its power.
Yeah, you want to put it into your milk or introduce it to another water source, essentially.
Okay. So someone said Krissy needs to be on a hot chocolate commercial for Starbucks. Are you excited about it?
I agree.
She loves Starbucks hot chocolate. That's it. I love it. But I've also made hot chocolate at home, and I've never seen you this excited. Is the Starbucks hot chocolate superior? Did you see the look? Is the Starbucks hot chocolate superior?
Yes!
It's better than Mommy's?
Both of yours are good.
Oh, good answer.
Good answer. Okay. Someone said, how long have you been roasting?
Yeah, so
I like that question.
I've been roasting for a year and a half or so. But I've been with the company for about 8 years now. And
8 years?
I did it all from barista to management, shift supervisor, and now I'm a coffee roaster.
Coffee roaster.
So-
Oh my gosh. And a woman in STEM.
And a woman in STEM.
Yeah.
Thank you.
when I remember meeting you, and I'm like, what are you doing? Are you reading curves? And it was beyond what I think expected Starbucks to be, right? You pour the water and you get the product, you add milk and sugar, and you drink it. And you go on about your day. And you're like, no, we're reading the curves, making sure everything is perfect. And because you have to replicate this all over the world.
Exactly. So consistency is key for us. And the beauty about the Reserves Roastery, so there's 6 around the world, is that you can see the manufacturing side up in front instead of behind the scenes. And so you can see me actively roasting coffee throughout the entire day. And if you go to any of our 6 roasteries, you can also see that they're live. And so it's really cool that you get to see all the mechanisms and all the hard work that goes into it, because a lot of the times I don't think I really knew what like roasting coffee was really about until I came to this location and was like, that's cool. How do we do that, and how do I learn to do that?
So I think that's really cool too. And I want to tell the people who are watching, if you want to see the live roasting happen, either go in to a Starbucks, preferably Chicago, right? And visit Wolf. She's amazing. But also, Mommy and me will be behind the scenes doing some very special things that we would love to show you. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you like, share.
And subscribe.
Okay, we're going to take a couple more questions. Someone asked, will we be doing a coffee stem experience at our next event? I love showcasing the stem of Starbucks, so we absolutely will. We have some great volunteers. I can think of one in particular who will be helping us with that.
Love that.
Someone said, do you offer any coffee brewing classes or tastings? Well, we just did a tasting, so yes. And what's the process for discovering the difference in coffee flavors? That's a really good question.
Those are great questions. So to answer the first part, the Roastery does offer tours. So you can book a tour online, and the tour does include a coffee tasting. So your barista professional will go through the entire process with you. You'll get a tour of the building, and then you'll do a coffee tasting together, very much like we did today. We also offer espresso martini classes, pumpkin spice classes. So we offer a lot. And then the second question is, I believe, was how to differentiate the regions?
Discovering the difference in coffee flavors.
Yeah, so I would suggest, if you're looking to really elevate your palate, is to buy a coffee that's from 2 different regions. Buy one from Costa Rica, buy one from Sumatra. and
So
taste
like the
them.
lighter and the darker.
Yes,
Okay.
taste them side by side on the same brewing method. It doesn't matter if it's a Mr. Coffee Maker or a chemex. You want to just make sure it's the same brewing method so you can have so there's no different variable to it, right? And so then we can really pinpoint what we're tasting, where it's falling on the tongue. And also important to keep a glass of water with you because I want you to stay hydrated. And on top of that, you want to cleanse your palate before you move on to your next coffee. And so the way we do coffee tastings here is you want to just try 3 different coffees brewed the same way, and you can kind of go down the list and taste them and see if you can pinpoint anything specific. And another trick is to do it with food. We all love food. I love food. I love pastries. And so you'll notice the moment that you add a savory or sweet food to a certain coffee, it changes the entire experience. So it'll either blend really well and give you a full, like a complete taste note, or you're gonna see that the flavors clash and you're gonna be like, oh, this wasn't that good with that. And so then you kind of learn how to pair coffee with certain foods and what really highlights each other and helps each other, if that makes sense.
I love that because that means that darker roast can probably go really well with a certain type of pastry or some type of food.
Exactly.
So I like that. And I wanted to highlight too that it's the largest Starbucks in the world. I think 35,000 square feet.
I think so, yes.
And there are 5 floors. We are on the 4th floor out of 5. So the first floor is, I always get them wrong. I've gotten them wrong all day today, so I won't guess.
No worries.
The first floor is.
So the first floor is our reserve floor, a reserve bar. You'll find the reserve bar, the roasting section, along with some of our retail. The second floor is going to be our Princhy floor. That's going to be where we have all of our food, savory, sweet, and you can actually see our bakers live in action, cooking, baking with our big Dutch ovens that are just for us. And the beautiful thing is that all the food that we serve here is meant to pair well with all of our coffee. So you really can't go wrong if you go savory or sweet with whatever you're drinking.
Okay.
The third floor is called our experiential bar, and that's gonna have 7 different brewing methods and all the coffee we have to offer. So there you can order a coffee flight, you can get a siphon, you can get a chemex, you can get a French press. There's so much brewing methods that you can get, and it's awesome because you can really then taste the difference between all the methods if you really wanted to.
So a coffee flight, a siphon, we're going to share with you what that is later. We have to make sure that you all come back because we have some more behind the scenes things to show you when we finish recording and then we do our production of the Wonka, the mommy and me version of the Wonka Starbucks. Okay? You excited about that?
Yes.
Okay, so what was your favorite part so far?
The question part because I like hot chocolate.
The question part because I like hot chocolate. Okay. Krissy is not letting go of the hot chocolate. All right. Just hot chocolate. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up our live Q&A. We're gonna do some more filming with Wolf. Can we move? Can we be mobile? No? Okay. Well, you just have to tune in. I got a look that says, no, we're not moving. It's okay. I want to go to the stairs.
The stairwell?
Yeah. You're trying to figure out.
We can.
Wolf is like, how are we going to do this?
I'm just trying to figure out the lighting situation.
No,
That's
just us.
all. Oh, I mean,
it's
yeah.
okay. Okay, so I'll tell you this. Thank you so much for tuning into
Mommy and me, the listers.
And until next time, Mavericks, don't stop the
Magic.
bye. We'll see
Bye,
y'all
everyone.
soon.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe.
Last words?
I think the last word should be hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
Her famous last words.
Hot chocolate.
Bye, guys.